Welcome to the Explainer. Now, in the brutal world of Westeros, you'd think power belongs to the kings, the knights, the ones with the fancy titles. But today, we're zoning in on a single pivotal moment where all those rules start to bend and real power begins to shift to the people everyone else wrote off, the outcasts.
This line, it's spoken right after a pretty horrific execution, and it signals a massive change coming. Stick with us, and by the end of this explainer, you'll see exactly why this moment is so unbelievably critical and who is about to rise from the ashes.
You know, Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things isn't just some catchy phrase. Nope. It's basically the thesis statement for this entire story, pointing a huge flashing arrow at the characters who are about to turn the whole world upside down.
So who are we actually talking about here? Well, first there's Bran, the cripple, a little boy whose dreams of being a knight were shattered right along with his spine. Then you've got Jon, the bastard, always the outsider, even in his own home. And Tyrion, who's seen as a broken thing by his own family just for being born a dwarf. These are the characters we're told again and again just don't matter. But oh boy, are they about to prove everyone wrong.
Okay, let's dive right in by heading to the treacherous mountains of the Vale. This is where one of our so-called broken things, Tyrion Lannister, has been taken prisoner. Catelyn Stark thinks he tried to murder her son, and now he's about to face a very unique and very deadly kind of justice.
What Tyrion does here is just a masterclass in thinking on your feet. He's facing a court that is absolutely stacked against him, so what does he do? He doesn't argue. He doesn't plead. He completely changes the game. He stands up and demands a trial by combat. Of course, he can't fight himself, so he uses his two best weapons, his mind and his money, and he hires a sellsword named Bronn. It's a huge gamble, but it works, and he wins his freedom, not through honor, but through pure, uncut cunning.
In that duel, it's so much more than just a fight. It's like watching two different worlds collide. On one side, you've got Ser Vardis, the picture of old world honor, all decked out in heavy armor, playing by the rules. And on the other side, you've got Bronn. He's fast, he's practical, and he could not care less about honor. He's there for one reason and one reason only, to win. He doesn't fight by the book, he writes his own.
So the real takeaway here isn't just about luck. Tyrion used his brain to outsmart a system that was built to crush him. And get this, he doesn't just walk away free. He walks away with a new, incredibly dangerous ally. It just goes to show you, in this world, real power doesn't always come from a crown. Sometimes it comes from being the smartest person in the room.
All right, so while Tyrion's playing 4D chess to survive, let's jump over to King's Landing for a total, and I mean total, contrast. Ned Stark is trying the exact opposite approach. Good old-fashioned honor. And, well, the results could not be more different. Ned Stark is a good man trying to do the right thing, in a very, very bad place. He's digging into his predecessor's death, uncovering some pretty explosive royal secrets, and trying to bring a monster like the Mountain to justice. But you can already feel it, can't you? In this city, this viper's pit, his rigid sense of honor isn't a shield. It's a giant target painted on his back.
And this table just lays it all out, clear as day. Ned is playing by a rulebook that everyone else in King's Landing threw out years ago. He values truth, justice, and authority. But in this city, those aren't virtues. They're weaknesses, just waiting to be exploited. He is so dangerously out of his depth.
And here is the stark difference. Literally, Tyrion's pragmatism got him freedom and a powerful new friend. Ned's noble quest for justice, it's left him alone, in danger, and completely powerless. His honor isn't a shield, it's a cage, and the bars are starting to bend. Okay, so while Ned is getting stuck in the political mud of the capital, something huge is happening everywhere else. All across the map are other broken things. They aren't just getting by, they're evolving. Their whole destinies are being rewritten.
Up at the wall, Jon Snow starts out as this really talented but kind of arrogant kid. He's better than everyone, he knows it, and he wants to be a ranger. But then, this quiet conversation with the blind Maester Aemon just flips a switch. He learns that real leadership isn't about being the best, it's about sacrifice. He puts his own dreams aside to protect someone weaker, and in that moment, he starts becoming a true leader.
Back in Winterfell, Bran finally wakes up. His body is broken and his dream of being a knight is gone forever. But as one door slams shut, this other, weirder door creaks open.
His mind starts to unlock, showing him these prophetic dreams of a three-eyed raven, hinting at a mystical path that's way bigger than anything he'd ever imagined. But the most violent, shocking transformation of them all is happening across the Narrow Sea with Daenerys Targaryen. She finally sheds the skin of that scared, abused little girl she was forced to be, and she steps into the role of the queen she was born to be, a Khaleesi who will not back down.
When her entitled, abusive brother Viserys demands a crown, Khal Drogo gives him one made of molten gold. And as Daenerys just watches him die, without even a flicker of emotion, she is burning away her past. She is fully embracing her power and her claim to the Iron Throne.
So let's pull all these threads together now. These aren't just random events happening to separate people. This is the ground shifting underneath everyone's feet. It's the beginning of a revolution, and it's being led by the very people the world had already dismissed.
I mean, just look at this new balance of power. It's wild. The outcasts, Tyrion, Daenerys, Jon, Bran, every single one of them is on an upward path. They're gaining power, allies, and purpose. And meanwhile, the honorable man, Ned Stark, he is completely trapped, just spiraling towards disaster. The old world is cracking, and the broken are starting to rise.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Remember that line? When Daenerys watches her brother die, she says, "He was no dragon. Fire cannot kill a dragon." She finally gets it. She's not just talking about some fantasy magic. She realizes that the metaphorical fire, the abuse, the fear, the manipulation that destroyed him, has absolutely no power over her. She is the true dragon. What this story is really telling us is that the labels society slaps on you, cripple, bastard, broken thing, they don't define you. In fact, in a world like this, those labels might just be the very thing that sets you free. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. Who's really more dangerous, the king sitting on the throne, or the outcast who has absolutely nothing left to lose?